Today I wanted to talk about the concept of self-care. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because it's something that I have not been doing a very good job with lately. And it's been a bad thing because for those of you who are, for like three of you that are following along with these as they're released, there's been a lot of turmoil. I'm recording this on June 5th. Sorry, I had to look at the date there. June 5th. 2020, which is a time that's been, 2020 is going to be one of those years that we look back on and say, I am so glad I survived that and I don't want to do that again. It's been absolutely just insane. And along with that, I have a son who graduated from, it was his senior year. He missed out on a typical graduation. He's a huge participant in theater, and he missed out on his last year of competitions in that. Essentially, for those of you who are into sports more than you are into other things, it was his last year to go to state and win state championships, and that was taken away from him because of the coronavirus. And then there's been just so much excitement since then. And on top of that, we took on a huge project in our home that ate up a lot of my time. And because of that, I have not been taking care of myself very well. And I've started to see that in the way I engage with the world around me. And that's problematic. And so I'm going to be talking about, for a little bit, for those of you who have depression, I'm going to talk about why self-care matters. Um, and then I'm going to talk about, what we can do to work on that and see if we can become a little bit better at taking care of ourselves, all right? So I wanted to go about talking about why it matters in kind of a little bit of a backwards way, okay? Because the most prevalent statement that I have seen regarding self-care is attributed to Jim Carrey. And so this is what it says, right? I believe depression is legitimate, but I also believe that if you don't exercise, eat nutritious foods, get sunlight, get enough sleep, consume positive material, and surround yourself with support, then you aren't giving yourself a fighting chance. And the first time I read this, I felt kind of attacked, which is strange because I'm sure for those of you who don't have depression, you read that and say, well, yeah, I mean, this is what we need, right? And those of us with depression understand that this is what we need. But when we're dealing with our depression, this I believe but kind of says, well, you just suck at taking care of yourself. And if you would just take care of yourself better, then your depression wouldn't be as big an issue. And that is true, but that doesn't help to tell us that because we kind of already know that, and our sense of self is already low enough that we kind of sometimes don't think we're worth the effort anyway. So why should we waste all this time, right? So this statement has a lot of value to it, but it's expressed in a way that is problematic. And I want to be clear about something. I did some digging into this because I wanted to be sure. There is absolutely no record of Jim Carrey saying this. And Jim Carrey, at the time that I'm recording this, Jim Carrey is a little bit nutty, but he is also very positive in the way he talks about depression. He wouldn't say it this way, okay? But I want to talk about these points, and this is part of why I chose this quote, because it hits some of the key things. Physical exertion, positive, healthy physical exertion helps to diminish the problems with depression. Healthy eating helps to diminish the problems with depression. Spending time outside helps with the problems of depression. Good sleep helps with problems of depression. Being aware of what we consume, what music we listen to, what TV shows we watch, helps us with depression. Listening to depressive music a lot doesn't help much. It can be beneficial in small doses, but if that's all we listen to, it is going to negatively impact our mood, right? And then who are you spending time with? Are you spending time with people who support you, or are you spending time alone by yourself? Now, these are all good, right? But they're hard for us. And I want everybody, who's looking at this to understand these things are hard for us to do when we're in a depressed state, because we very much like it's easy to say I don't feel like exercising because most of us don't feel like exercising, right? But for us, it can be an enormous impediment to progress, because we think about the idea of exercising and it's exhausting and we don't want to do it. It's, in a weird way, as I've been thinking about this, it's kind of like rabies. For those of you who know anything about this disease, rabies thrives in, I think this is right, in drier conditions. And so one of the things it does to the person who's contracted rabies is it creates hydrophobia. It makes the person absolutely terrified of water. They don't want to drink it. They can't drink it. They have this physical inability to drink water, which we need to survive, right? And so they become dehydrated because they refuse to consume that thing which would make them healthier, because it is so antithetical to the way they feel they should be. And so that's the same, kind of the same thing with a lot of these positive things with depression. We feel like they're so antithetical with the way we should be that it's hard for us to take them on. For me, as I've looked at things that I want to do for self-care, one of the big issues is most things cost money, right? And when you're in a depressive state, am I really worth that money? Am I worth spending money on, really, when it could go towards clothes for my kids or food for my kids, or maybe my wife who never gets anything for herself? Maybe why should I spend money on myself when I could be spending it on other people who deserve it more? And also, what if I spend money to try to do something that doesn't work? Then I've wasted that money, and it has been really hard for me to look for things that I can do, because I don't want to invest money in something that's not going to work. Because when I'm in a deep depression state, which is not at the moment, I'm okay. When I'm in a deep depressive state, I don't feel like I'm worth an investment. Okay, so this is one of the challenges when we talk about self-care. A lot of times we don't want to, and a lot of times also, I've loved this. One of my friends was posting about this on social media, which I've decided to take a break from for a while for my own mental health. But they talked about how self-care sometimes is about doing the hard things that we need to do for ourselves, paying bills or doing laundry so that we have clean clothes. Those kind of things can also be part of self-care. It's not necessarily about picking up the ukulele and learning to play, happy music. It can also be about doing the hard things. This is part of why I decided to do these. I feel like this is partially a form of self-care for me. For now, I'm not sure how much I want to keep doing these. I'm working through that, but self-care takes many forms. And one of the things that I think is valuable to think about, those of you who are watching this, and you're like, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't even want to get out of bed. Why are you pushing me to exercise and eat right? Because I don't want to. I just want to eat Cheetos, which is, kind of one of my things. When I'm not feeling good, Cheetos just give me that temporary fix. And that's one of the problems. This is one of the reasons why we need to have a good self-care system in place, is because if we don't, then instead of eating the healthy stuff, we end up eating Cheetos, metaphorically speaking. So if I don't take care of myself in healthy ways, then I'm going to end up turning to other ways to make me feel temporarily better about myself. And that's going to include things like self-harm. That's going to include things like addictions. From what I have seen, there's a lot of research that suggests that addictions are used as coping mechanisms for other things, for not feeling connected, for feeling depressed, because that thing that we do that we're addicted to, whatever that addiction might be, it gives us a temporary positive fix when we indulge it, right? When we self-harm, it gives us a temporary positive fix when we do that. And there's a little bit more to that that I'm thinking about discussing later. But those temporary positive fixes are kind of like our Cheetos, right? They taste good when you eat them, but they're not really good for you. And so at this point, if you're like, okay, great, but what do I do? one of the things that I've seen that has been huge is talking about how you can do small things. Okay, small things that can give you some move towards a better self-care routine, whatever that looks like for you. And this is the thing, you've got to figure out your own. Okay, um, and you've got to figure out what you can do. I love riding motorcycles, right? But right now, financially speaking, that would be detrimental in the overall picture to my self-care and my family's care to get one. And so I'm not going to. So I have to put that one aside and look at other things that I can do to take care of myself. One of the things that I have discovered is a good D&D game can be good for my mental health. Don't ask me why, it just works for me. So that's something that I do. And I'm working on doing better. Okay, this is me talking to myself as well as to you. But you can start small. Okay, so this has been a long lead up to one of the things that I want you to understand. Let's say, for example, that you happen to be watching this while you're in bed and you don't want to get out of bed because it is just not your jam right now. Staying in bed sounds good, right? So just get up. Get out of bed and, I don't know, go to the bathroom and get a drink. Splash some water on your face. These small things. And don't look beyond that yet, okay? But little things like just getting dressed. With the coronavirus and being in lockdown, one of the things that we've been working on is making sure that we get up and we get dressed and we brush our teeth, we comb our hair, we put on deodorant, we go through that routine. Even if we're going to be stuck at home the whole day, we try to do that because that helps us to kind of push us into engaging a little bit more in a very non-confrontational way. And if you're not sure what to wear, that's okay. Maybe you just change your pajamas, change into different pajamas, change your clothes. For me, water is wonderfully therapeutic. Yesterday we spent some time on the lake and I feel better today because we did. So for me, a shower can help. Just getting into the shower. And I know this is not eco-friendly, but don't worry about how long you're in there. Just get in the shower, turn on the water, and let it run over you. If you want to shampoo or clean your body, you should do that every now and then, right? But if you want to just stand under the water for a while, if that helps you, do that. If it's a bath for you, that's great, because I'm a big guy. I don't fit in tubs, so that's a little less therapeutic to me than taking a shower. But whatever works for you, start with little things and don't look towards a full-on, heavyweights workout routine. Just get dressed, okay? And then once you do that, if that's all you can do in a day, that's okay. That's a move towards taking care of yourself, right? Maybe get dressed, maybe pay a bill. Just one. Just pay that. And I know that's not fiscally responsible. I'm not talking about financial responsibility here. I'm talking about self-care. But you need to be responsible with your finances as well. There are layers to this, right? But right now we're talking about just doing things to help you get up off of the dead center that is a depressive episode. Okay? So this is kind of my thoughts on this. Self-care is important. If you neglect it, you will end up finding other ways to cope with the challenges that you face. And like 99% of the time, maybe more, the ways that you cope unintentionally are not good for you. So start small if you have to, and try to work up to or taking care of yourself. All right? Good luck.